The man ignored the white sailor's warning and jumped into the ocean for a swim. An officer saw this and quickly ordered the fastest swimmer to bring him back, because on this American warship, black sailors were not allowed to swim in the sea. They could only stand and watch the white sailors have fun. But this man openly broke the rules. Realizing the trouble he was in, he swam even faster and left the white sailor far behind. Every black sailor on the deck suddenly started cheering for him. The captain saw everything and was impressed by his courage and swimming skills, so he recommended him to the Naval Academy. That was how Carl became the first black student in the Academy's history. When Carl arrived at the Academy, he was met with hatred from his white classmates. On his very first night, an instructor purposely threw water on him and claimed it was special training to force him out of bed for drills. The instructor then blasted him with a high-pressure water hose and used every method he could think of to make Carl quit on his own. But Carl refused to give up one day. During a diving exercise, a sailor's oxygen line became trapped and his life was in danger. In that critical moment, only Carl stepped forward. He gave his own oxygen line to the sailor in trouble. The sailor survived, but the next day the instructor gave the Medal of Honor to the white sailor who had abandoned his teammate. Faced with such unfair treatment, Carl simply walked away calmly. His calm attitude made the white sailor who received the medal feel deeply ashamed. The night before the final evaluation, the instructor approached Carl again and tried to convince him to quit, but Carl firmly refused, furious. The instructor smashed the radio Carl's father had given him and warned him to leave. The next day, Carl still showed up for the evaluation. Once the dive test began, the instructor deliberately cut open Carl's tool bag, causing tools to scatter across the ocean floor. Soon all the other students finished the test and returned to the surface. Only Carl remained underwater, searching for the missing parts until late into the night. Everyone believed he would never come back up, so they pulled up the safety line. But attached to the rope was a fully assembled prop. After 9 exhausting hours, Carl finally completed the evaluation and struggled back to shore, looking at the man who never gave up. The instructor seemed to see his younger self. The instructor finally announced that Carl had passed. Carl graduated successfully. As he prepared to leave, he noticed the radio had been repaired. Carl understood this was the instructor's way of saying sorry. Years later, Carl became a senior diver. During a salvage mission, he saved 2 young divers but suffered a severe injury to his thigh. Although he survived, he lost a leg and was told he would never dive again. But Carl learned that some disabled people had regained their diving qualifications. Carl insisted on completing rehabilitation training in 14 weeks so he could take the evaluation for disabled divers. The coach learned about his goal and personally trained him. Carl worked hard every day to finish his rehabilitation training. When evaluation day arrived, everyone came as promised. To make things harder for Carl, the naval officers brought out 400 pounds of diving equipment and ordered him to put it on and walk 12 steps by himself, a task difficult even for elite divers. But Carl had faced hard challenges his entire life. He moved forward 1 step at a time. Even though the pain made him clench his teeth, he refused to stop. On the 8th step, everyone heard his prosthetic leg crack. Tears of frustration rolled down his face. At that moment, the coach stood in front of him and encouraged him every step of the way. Finally, Carl completed the most important 12 steps of his life in front of everyone.